Today, we're going to pull back the curtain. We're going way beyond the scrubs and the TV show stereotypes to really explore the hidden mental models that nurses use every single day to make these critical, life-saving decisions.
All right, let's just get this out of the way first. You've got to clear your mind of the high-drama, super simplified version of nursing you see on television.
Yeah, sure. Those tasks are part of the job, of course, but honestly, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The real work, the heavy lifting, is all happening on a much deeper intellectual level.
It is a very specific way of thinking, a system that's been designed and refined to be used under just immense pressure. We're talking about the ability to assess, analyze, and act all in a split second.
So how in the world do they do it? What's the secret sauce? What are the core parts of this unique mindset? Well, let's open up that toolkit and see what's inside.
Okay, so the first thing you have to get is that nursing isn't just a checklist of tasks. It's a framework for thinking. It's really all about connecting the dots, between a patient's story, their symptoms, the lab data, and putting it all together to form a complete picture. For instance, a nurse might notice a patient's blood pressure is trending down, connect that to the fact they just came out of surgery, and immediately anticipate a problem before it becomes a crisis.
And the absolute #1 tool in that whole framework is prioritization. In a hospital, everything can seem urgent. A nurse has to know what is truly life or death important right now.
So picture a chaotic ER, right? You've got a patient clutching their chest, a child with a dangerously high fever, and someone else with a very obviously broken bone. Who gets help first? It is not a guess. It's a system, and that system is built to save lives.
So how do they decide? Well, they actually use a psychological theory. You've probably heard of it, Maslow's hierarchy, but they've brilliantly adapted it for clinical triage. The rule is incredibly simple. The body's most basic physiological needs, like breathing, always, and I mean always, come first. Survival trumps everything else. And even within those basic needs, there's an even more critical top-tier priority list, the ABCs: airway, breathing, and circulation. Until those three things are stable, almost nothing else matters. This isn't just a friendly suggestion, it is an unbreakable rule of nursing.
Okay, so once the priorities are set, nurses have to switch gears and become fluent in a totally different language. It's the language of data. They have to speak and understand a world of numbers, where absolute precision is everything.
Take high blood sugar versus low blood sugar. Now, to the untrained eye, they can look pretty similar, but they need completely opposite treatments. A nurse has to spot those subtle clues, like the sudden onset of low blood sugar, to know exactly what to do. One is a problem that's been building, the other is a crisis that needs to be fixed now.
So how do they keep all this data straight, especially under pressure? Well, they use these brilliant little memory aids or mnemonics, like potassium thinks heart. It's a super fast way to remember that if a patient's potassium is out of whack, you need to be worried about life-threatening heart problems. It's a mental shortcut that saves critical time.
I absolutely love this one. It's such a simple, kind of silly way to remember a core principle of physiology. Wherever sodium goes in the body, water follows. This simple idea helps nurses predict things like swelling or dehydration just by glancing at a patient's lab work. It's genius.
Now, let's talk about math. Because in nursing, there is no such thing as partial credit. A misplaced decimal point isn't a small oopsie, it's a potential catastrophe. And that's why the level of detail has to be just perfect.
Here's a perfect example, the no trailing zeros rule. Why is this so important? Well, think about it. A dose written as 1.0 could easily be misread by a busy colleague as 10. That's a 10-fold overdose, potentially fatal, all because of one little zero in the wrong place. This kind of attention to detail is completely non-negotiable.
Okay, so we've covered how to prioritize and how to interpret the data. But how do nurses actually put all of that together into a coherent plan of attack? Well, they use a blueprint, a kind of problem-solving engine that guides every single action they take.
It's called the nursing process, and there's a handy mnemonic, ADTIE, that helps them remember the steps: assess, diagnose, plan, implement, and evaluate. But here's the key. It's not a straight line. It's a continuous loop. They gather info, define the problem, make a plan, do the plan, and then, this is so critical, they evaluate if it actually worked. And if not, they start the whole cycle right over again. It's a relentless process of refinement and improvement.
But thinking like a nurse isn't just about systems and data and processes. That's really only half the battle. There is a profound art and a strict ethical code that supports every single thing they do.
Take communication. For a nurse, this is a clinical skill. Saying something like, "Tell me more about that," is an open-ended invitation that builds trust. But saying, "Don't worry," actually shuts down the conversation. Nurses are trained to use language that literally heals, not hinders.
And finally, this is the moral compass. Every single decision gets filtered through these principles. Take autonomy, for example. It means that if a patient is mentally sound and refuses a life-saving treatment, a nurse has to respect that decision, even if they totally disagree with it. This ethical framework is what ensures that the immense power a nurse has is always, always used for good.
This quote really just nails it, doesn't it? It's a career that demands the absolute highest levels of intellectual rigor, scientific precision, and human compassion, all rolled into one. So after seeing all these different pieces, the rapid prioritization, the deep data analysis, the systematic planning, that ethical core, it kind of leaves us with one big question. What do you think is the most powerful tool a nurse actually has? Is it their scientific knowledge, their clinical skill, or is it their ability to connect with another human being in their absolute worst moment? What do you think?